I don't do gotcha journalism. You guys can do that. I think.
And listen how he describes it, gotcha journalism. He's such a dishonest little piece of shit. I wish these guys were more aggressive. Oh my God, I hate this guy so much. Oh my God. It's like walking in on this guy getting fucking railed by a 12-inch fucking BBC, and you're like, bro, I didn't know you were gay. And he's like, I'm not gay. I can't even be friends with a gay dude.
Andrew, when you sit down...
I think that's my duty, but
when
yeah.
you sat down with Donald Trump a couple weeks before the 2024 election, you had a long conversation with him. And I went back and I listened to it. And I do want to push you on what you see as your responsibilities with an interview like that.
Yeah.
There's a section of the interview. And
New York Times grills Andrew Schulz for letting Trump push the Russia hoax narrative.
maybe you would have thought this was dutiful in the moment. I'm not so sure I'd agree. Where the president is describing the entire federal investigation into Russia as a hoax, made up by Hillary Clinton, made up by...
Catfish. I've seen enough catchers to realize that the predator is always the one to initiate the freaky stuff. Yeah, that might be, if that's the case, like I think the person is way more culpable than somebody who's getting like badgered into it. But I just haven't watched too many other shows. So.
These are made up by Nancy Pelosi. That's factual. That's not accurate.
Holy fucking cursed.
But then he goes further and he says that the Pulitzer Prize Committee should give the New York Times, should take back the Pulitzer it gave to the New York Times for its aggressive coverage of that investigation.
And the Post.
And you in the interview, you're nodding along to him, you're verbally agreeing with him.
Yeah.
And you say, yeah, to have the New York Times keep that Pulitzer is to basically say that the lie is true.
Oh, that's what they brought you here for. They brought you here to put you. They need to see you face to face.
This is what you said. This is what you said.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Donald Trump, because you're actually, by
I take back all the nice things I said, Lisa.
By leaving the Pulitzer with the New York Times, you're sort of saying it happened, and it didn't happen. And everybody now, he goes on, and you say, Andrew Schulz, this is the...
Oh, he said that part.
No, yeah, and you say you're rewarding the lie, and you're agreeing with him on, for the hoax. So now, in retrospect, maybe you think this is the best interview you've ever done, but I wonder if, in retrospect, perhaps you question whether in moments like that, you're not fulfilling what your friend and even your co-host Charlemagne thinks is pretty essential about the role of journalism in this moment.
Wait. Well, that was a big leap right there. What was the last question?
Are you letting the president lie on your show and not bothering to fact check him?
I don't know anything about the Russia hoax.
So why interview the president and let him talk about it?
And that's why Trump wants to go on this podcast.
I didn't ask him about the Russia hoax.
He brought it up every which way throughout the interview.
But I didn't ask him about the Russia hoax. I had three things I wanted to ask.
Turns out there's no hoax.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing that I would say.
I know you want to talk about immigration.
Michael, as one who's getting sued as a member of the Pulitzer...
Can I just respond to it, David?
Just hang on one second.
Okay.
Just to be clarified, the Pulitzer was to the Post and the Times. It wasn't about the Russia hoax. It was about Russian interference in the election.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Period.
Okay.
And it was a collection of terrific reporting.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. So this is a perfect example of the media class, which is like you guys, who know everything about the Russia hoax, you know everything about what it is. Was it actually? Was it not? Like if we relitigated every single thing, was it justified, et cetera? And then the rest of us, who I do not consider myself part of the journalist class, that just go, oh, so it didn't end up being real? Oh, I guess it was a hoax. And this is the separation of knowledge.
That's your position?
Yeah, I just said it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys are really aware of this because it's important to you. It's important if you're reporting on something that if there is truth to it. But what ended up happening? Did he get indicted? Did he get proven guilty of it? Like what did happen with the hoax?
Just to be clear.
Not the hoax. What did happen with the Russia investigation?
Why comment on it? If you don't know anything about it, why comment on it? And I know that they'll never do this, or maybe journalists, because they're getting a little bit meaner. I think it's good here to ask the question, have you read a single report? Have you read a single word of the Mueller report? Have you read a single part of Mueller's indictments? Have you read a single thing from the New York Times or the Washington Post on this? Have you read anything at all about it? Because the answer is no. You haven't read a single thing. And it's like, well, why do you think it's a Russia hoax? Who do you consume for news? Well, I've watched what Tim Pool has said about it. I've watched what Joe Rogan and his guests have said. Like, okay, so a bunch of people that don't like the Democrats are all telling you that it was a hoax and totally fake. Do you see the problem there?
The Russia investigation is a federal inquiry into a sustained campaign by Russia to influence the 2016 election, according to U.S. intelligence agencies, on behalf of, in favor of Donald Trump. It's not an investigation. It's an investigation that also sought to understand contacts between Russian officials and Trump, and ultimately there's no evidence.
I'm not testing you. I'm just saying, what happened? What do you think?
There was a Mueller report, and there was no indictment.
Okay, so,
there was no indictment,
take this right here. Let's stop right here. There was a Mueller report, and there was what?
No indictment.
No indictment.
Okay, what do you think the American people think when they hear there was no indictment?
Oh, and now he's doing this fucking game. I still need a snappy way or a snappy analogy to explain this. This fucking thing that people do where they explain a thing. They're explaining why somebody might do an irrational action, and they're trying to give you the understanding, well, this is why somebody might do something irrational, but they're the ones doing the irrational action, and then they justify it. But so, like, somebody will do something where it's like, oh, well, of course, some people think the sky is brown. It's because they have brown tinted windows, and it's like, what color do you think the sky is? Well, man, it's probably brown. I mean, I don't know. It's like, but you think this thing. Why are you saying, you're explaining why some people might think the thing? Like, they shouldn't think the thing, but you also think the thing. So what game are we playing here? Because he just said earlier, unless I misunderstood, he's like, well, that was my position, that nothing happened because there was no indictments. Okay, then nothing happened related to anybody else related to Epstein, right? You don't believe that because there were no indictments for that, besides for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, right?
They're not looking into all this research. They're not saying like, ooh, there are real connections, but maybe not close enough to indict, but there is something real here. What do you think the average American thinks when they hear there was a Mueller report and there was no indictment? What do you think they think?
Clearly have
false devil's advocate. Ooh, I like that one.
I'm asking you guys. What do you speak for your audience for a second? What do you think they think when they hear that?
David, correct me if I'm wrong. Richard Nixon wasn't indicted in Watergate, but Americans still look back on Watergate and think that was a scandal.
You're not answering the question.
I am.
No, you're answering it with a different one, and I think you're avoiding it because you know the truth. The truth of the matter is,
I don't think being willfully ignorant of what happened is a defense of knowing something.
True.
I'm sorry.
Look, I'm sorry I don't know every single thing before I interview the guy.
It's not about knowing every single thing. You said yourself you don't know a single thing. You don't know a single thing. You don't know anything about it. It's not about knowing oh my God, I don't know every single. There's like every fucking lawyer, every person ever going to debate about Trump. Hey, didn't you hear that they literally fabricated like elector certificates from people that weren't, I haven't heard anything about that. What about the executive orders targeting law firms? Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked at that. What about him trying to get rid of birthright citizenship with a fucking executive order? Wait, where's Kafka? I didn't ask that question yesterday. Why did the Supreme Court agree to take that case?
Which case?
The birthright citizenship executive order decision case.
Probably to agree with Trump. Come on, do a little Fed posting. You're good.
No, to end all the appeals. Maybe they just want to do like a good, strong decision on it, so nobody fucks with it again.
Yeah, surely.
And I see that I'm clearly being like I don't know, punished.
I'm going to come to Andrew's defense for a moment.
No. I think it's listen. All criticism are fair. If you don't think that the question was asked in the right way or something like that, that's totally fair. We put things out on the internet. We put things out in the world. These criticisms are completely allowed. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So, like, how did we get to this position to where he's like, well, I didn't even know anything about that. I wasn't going to ask him anything about that. But now he's like defending the content.
No.
What I'm trying to tell you is there is definitely a separation between what you guys know and what the American people know.
That's true.
And when you only talk to other journalists, you guys are all aligned, left or right, about.
But they don't just talk to other journalists. They're journalists. They publish articles for everythody to read.
Like what the facts of these things are. But when you go to, maybe not.
Yeah, no,
I would think Ben and I are not aligned on this.
Andrew, remember earlier when I was talking about the gestalt of the story, this is what I mean. Like the overall sense of the story in Russia is that there was an allegation, okay? And again, the specifics were not quite this clean. But the takeaway for most Americans was that Donald Trump was coordinating with Russia to pervert the 2016 election.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That was the takeaway. And it turned out that wasn't true.
So to be clear, that was one, maybe not Trump himself, because we never got that deep, but the people working on his campaign, they were, beyond any doubt. And most of them have admitted it, either through Roger Stone and the coordination with the Guccifer guy who did the Russia leaks, or through that weird Trump Tower meeting where Trump and his surrogates agreed to meet with a Russian lawyer to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. Those are two undeniable things that everybody acknowledges as being true, and we know they're true, and that's just like, that is directly interfacing with Russia in order to try to get dirt on political opponents, on Hillary Clinton in this case. Like, we knew that 100%.
I think the takeaway was...
So the idea that somebody won a Pulitzer for coverage of subsections of that broader narrative, a narrative which turned out not only not to be true, but that the American people then rejected wholesale in 2024 and reelected the man president of the United States. That is the reason why when Andrew says, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, he's not wrong about that. Now, I mean, that's a different thing.
But to the point, I would like to know why Ben believed it wasn't true. I just want to know. Like,
because there's no evidence that Donald Trump directly coordinated with the Russian government in order to pervert the 2016 election.
That is true. There is no evidence that Donald Trump directly did it. That is true. But there was a whole bunch of stuff that was going on where Donald Trump was trying to prevent, obstruct the investigation. Like, and these are questions you can ask. Nobody has any of the facts. Oh, like the killer question here is to ask, just curious, why did Donald Trump fire James Comey? Talk about that. And that will unravel this whole thread of bullshit. He fired Comey to stop the investigation into him and the people around him. That was why.
That proves Andrew's point.
Which federal investigators also which is not the source of the inquiry. The inquiry was about interference.
Right. Of course.
That's what those pieces were about.
And this is the problem with the TikTokification of information.
Stephanie, you got your head in your hand, but it's true. This is why you have to talk to people.
But this is...
They do. They're journalists. They publish articles. They just don't have fucking podcasts or TikToks.
So, and I think this is maybe an advantage.
You're doubting that I talk to people any less than you do, and I don't.
You definitely talk to them less than us.
No, that's
100%.
just false.
David,
that's simply false.
You're 100.
When the last time you've been in a strip club, David?
Come on,
Andrew.
come on.
Andrew.
I'm teasing you. I'm not joking.
No. The actual work of journalists is to
I'm not insulting the work of journalists, and I'm obviously...
but you are. And insulting David in that way.
No, I'm insulting David because I was fun.
We can kid around. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if we're being serious here, those stories were about a specific thing. You can debate till the cows come home whether the Mueller report was interpreted by.
Destiny, my point was a banger, and you should use it in future debates when people bring this up. No, your point is a horrible one. 10 years ago, your point would have been a good one, but today they would disagree. Here, Tug Fwitch and DGG says, Destiny, there's also no evidence that Hitler directly ordered the Holocaust. Chances are these days people say, oh shit, you're right, true. I don't know if he actually did. But I understand where you're coming from, but these days I would never roll with any analogies to stuff like that or comparisons to stuff like that because they'll probably just agree.
I bar in the proper way, all the rest. But those stories were solid.
Okay, I'm not saying the stories weren't solid. This whole conversation is, at least it was started by a distrust in media, right? And a lack of understanding of what's going on. Bring it back to the beginning.
Almighty.
And I think that, like, to what you were saying, right? The idea of what Americans think happened.
I agree.
There was an investigation and then no indictment. When I hear there's an investigation and then no indictment.
First of all, and there were indictments. Can we talk about the indictment? I don't know if people know that. They probably don't. There were indictments. Like 12 different Russian people were indicted for, like, there are two parts to this quote-unquote Russia interference stuff. You've got did Trump and his campaign collude with Russia in order to try to find information, release information, whatever, which they did, by the way, but that's a harder case, I guess. And then the second one was, did Russia directly interfere with our election? They did. Well, that's foregone. That's obviously true. And there were indictments that were issued with relation to that. I don't even know if he knows that these are two different questions. I don't think the journalist guys here, I don't think they're aware that he's like conflating both of these together and they're not differentiating between the two because there were indictments issued and there was a lot of investigatory stuff that came out with relation to how Russia interferes and was interfering with our elections at the time in terms of posting on social media, creating fake accounts, setting up protests and all this bullshit. Destiny, stream disagreements, King of Pandas. I don't know who you are and I don't know. Well, I don't know which one that guy is.
It means there's nothing there for us, right? We're a comedy
nothing
podcast.
There.
So this is of what Americans think happened.
I agree.
There was an investigation and then no indictment. When I hear there's an investigation and then no indictment, it means there's nothing there for us, right? We're a comedy podcast.
So this is really important.
And like, when Donald Trump goes on SNL, we don't sit here and relitigate every sketch and be like, well, why didn't he address the Mueller probe in this sketch?
Because when Donald Trump is on SNL, he's not talking about the Mueller probe like he is on your show, you fucking retard. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be mean. It's such a stupid fucking point to bring up. Like, you can't hide behind this like, it's just a comedy show. It's just a comedy show. But here we are talking about politics. Like you're not. If Trump was just coming on to tell a few gaffes or whatever, like I might have issues with it because I don't think he should get free platforms and access to audiences that easily. But it would be a lot different than when he comes on to actually talk about like politics.
The expectations I want you to have when anybody comes on our pod, whether it's Mamdani, Trump, whether it's Casey Neistat, whether it's a plethora of other guests that we've had on, is the same. Are we hanging, having fun, and are we humanizing our guests? I don't do gotcha journalism. You guys can do that. I think.
And listen how he describes it, gotcha journalism. He's such a dishonest little piece of shit. I wish these guys were more aggressive. Oh my God, I hate this guy so much. Oh my God. It's like walking in on this guy getting fucking railed by a 12-inch fucking BBC, and you're like, bro, I didn't know you were gay. And he's like, I'm not gay. I can't even be friends with a gay dude without me being accused of being gay, as he's getting fucked in the ass by the guy. And it's like, well, no, it's not so much that you're friends with the gay guy. It's that he's literally anally gaping you right now. It seems kind of a little bit gay, or at least bi. You know, this guy's, oh, so what? So now all my friends have to be straight, or you're going to impugn my character and second guess my judgment and say that I'm doing gotcha heterosexuality. Fuck you. Like, no, if Trump wants to come on your show to do a fucking stand-up routine or whatever, then fine. I don't remember the SNL skit where Donald Trump comes out and denies any involvement with Russia for 30 minutes. So I don't know the SNL skit where Trump comes out and talks about all the people that he wants to indict and throw in jail for being his political enemies. Like, why the comparison here?
Are we hanging, having fun, and are we humanizing our guests? I don't do gotcha journalism. You guys can do that. I think it's important.
Well, we don't do that.
Regardless about gotcha.
I
don't want to hear about it.
I don't bring people on. I bring people on because I have an interest in them, and I want to see the humanity on them,
and
regardless of which side
curiosity.
they're in. And I think that has been true when I had you guys on.
Right. So Andrew, actually, we actually got into a bit of a tete-a-tete a few weeks ago. I know, like every 2 weeks, but this one was, I thought, to what you're saying.
Yes.
And I think this is actually quite important. We're not all in the same industry.
Yes.
We are broadly in the same industry. We are not specifically in the same industry. And my critique was not of you. My critique was actually of the audience, which can no longer tell the difference between the Joe Rogan podcast and a sit down with PBS.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that we should.
The audience can tell the difference.
No. So I don't think that's
no,
true.
they can't.
I do not think that is true. And I think
the New York Times had Andrew in the New York Times. What they call you, America's World.
That was sarcasm.
But no.
Because you guys, the difference is supposed to be the content. That's the difference. But when your content is starting to become heavily political, what's the difference at that point?
People don't know that if they see the headline.
Right. So I think that this is
the headline was.
But Ben, we can be in different industries, but what we can all be,
and then I'm going to have to jump in,
is decent.
Well, I agree with that, but I'm saying that the responsibility, when we talk about there's a plethora of sources, which of course is true, and the audience needs to be more discerning than ever, which of course is true. The first step toward discernment is acknowledging that what you are doing and what Andrew is doing, these are two different things, and that the hosts themselves acknowledge that these are two different things. And if you're honest with your audience, and I think this is the biggest thing for all of us, I'm honest with my audience. I am a conservative. Okay, my principles are there. I'm not lying about who I am. You know that if I'm having on a Republican, I'm likely to ask friendlier questions than if I have on a Democrat, because I'm very open in my biases and who I'm more likely to agree with. And the same thing is true of John and in his own business with Andrew. And Stephanie, I think it's true of you. I think the reason people pick on legacy media is because legacy media tries to be all things to all people by claiming that they do not have a viewpoint, that they stand somehow objectively outside the world and never bring their own viewpoints to bear.
Is different than
I'm going to say,
keep it going, Bart. I'm cooking right now.
This is actually the point of the journalism part of this. This is actually the point.
I'm giving on you the last word, the literal last word.
You got this.
Look, the whole thing was about journalism.
Okay.
By the way, Ben is 100% correct there. For everybody that just wants to disagree with everything Ben says, at the very least, like Ben Shapiro is a Daily Wire conservative commentator. Now, obviously, I disagree with a lot of shit he says on a factual and a moral level too. But like, I would much rather a world full of Ben Shapiros that are part of conservative news networks that carry water for Trump or whatever bullshit conservatives do than a bunch of fucking Andrew dipshit Schultzes who are like, oh, I'm actually just a totally impartial centrist guy who happens to carry water completely for the conservative movement.
Stop being distracted. Don't listen to it.
Whatever you say, we
If
better
this
all
goes great, you're getting funding. We're bringing the funding back.
Are you stepping in?
Making a call.
He knows Donald Trump.
So the thing I keep thinking about is, was it worth it to be happy for a little bit? Even though it ended up sad? Or would it have been better if the whole thing never happened?